the business class.
Hi there, you're welcome to another episode of the Business Class. I'm your host, Dami Olanrewaju. Today we're going to be talking about something very critical to the success and the survival of your business. You can't afford to miss this episode. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'd also like you to follow us on all our social media platforms. Go to our website and check out our blog post. There's loads of quality content that we have for you there. The topic of today is how to close high-ticket clients over the phone. Let's take it from the top. You've run the ad, right? You have gotten their details through the form. Probably you've given them a Godfather offer, right? So you've gotten the details, the phone numbers, the email. So what next? That's what you should ask yourself. Now, it becomes very crazy because now you have to talk to clients over the phone. And that's one of the activity a salesperson dreads. Actually, at times, I feel very nervous talking to people over the phone. Maybe at times you're trying to, close them. At times you're trying to extend your conversation with them, maybe even at the discovery phase. So nobody really wants to really talk to clients on the phone if they have the way, not to talk of trying to close a client, and high-end clients for that matter. But guys, there's a trick to the game, and that's what we want to share. The first point is do not sound like a salesperson. What we're saying is that there must be some form of emotional control. Keep your excitement to yourself, right? You want to sound professional when you're talking on the phone. Remember, they sought you out in the first place because they know, or at least they suspect, or at least they are ready to or willing to take the risk. Like they believe that you can solve their problem. So you want to sound confident. You want to sound like you know what you're doing. So guys, you need to keep calm. Your voice must be bold. Your tonality must be right. You must exude confidence. You need to control your emotion. One of the things you need to do is for you not to talk too fast. You really want to keep calm. Then don't rush through your point. For some of us that are into sales, we have scripts. Make sure that you're human in your scripting. Then you should also allow for real-time conversation, even though you're using script. So try and listen to the client. Try and listen to the prospect. Listen to what he's saying. Try and listen to the question, not just trying to rush through your script or your set of questions that you need to ask. That is very important. Don't be desperate. You do not want to chase your client. You want the client to chase you, right? The whole idea about these things is that you must learn how to keep calm. Yeah, for so many people, they're trying to meet up the quarter. Maybe it's end of the month already. Maybe you have, lot of sales that are just, hanging here and there. Have been there. It happens to me a lot. Then you suddenly become desperate. You don't want to get to that point, right? You want to keep calm. You want to show that you actually have the solution that the prospect needs. You need to be careful not to sound desperate. And, desperation is palpable. The person on the other side of the phone can pick it if you're desperate. So you need to be careful with your tone at that level to be able to sound confident without sounding like you are being very forceful. There's a thin line between that, especially as passionate salespeople. But again, you have to be careful. You don't want a client to spot desperation. You want to pace your conversation. You want to go into what we call consultative selling. The person on the other side is fielding you question or giving you feedback that is important and that you can use to further your conversation. So you need to make the whole experience conversational. Where the other person at the other side feels that you're communicating, feels like is involved in this whole process. You don't want it to be like I'm in charge, you just do my bidding kind of thing, right? You want to make sure that you are following the client. There are a lot of cues that can make you know that. But whatever you're doing, do not sound desperate. Don't show desperation, even though you have quota to meet, right? The third point is don't justify your value. This is not really easy. I find myself in that place severally, right? Because you are doing high-ticket sales, the price point is very crazy. And have you ever caught yourself something like you're giving client discounts already, or you're trying to oversell, even when the client is not asking for it, right? You suddenly feel nervous, and everybody feels that way for high-ticket items. So don't try and oversell the features of what you're trying to do. Don't say things like we're best in town and everything. There's a way you communicate value. I want to believe that layered on top of your sales prospecting is content marketing, where you have demonstrated your core competence on your social media platform through your blog, through your white paper. And that's why we recommend all of those activities. So it's going to help you. You don't need to oversell your features when you're doing that. It's very critical. Otherwise, you start blabbing, and at the end of the day, you end up confusing the client or making the client to doubt the actual value of the product. Don't try and oversell. Don't try and do an overkill on your features. Just let it be clear. Demonstrate clear value from the get-go. And all of this trying to oversell, most of the time I realize is because people don't have platforms where they actually educate the market on what they're all about and what their products or services can do. The fourth point is tricky. People don't want to be sold, but they love to buy. Now I'm going to explain. Now, that's where being precise comes into play. One of the things you should quickly get to when you are prospecting a client is to get straight to the point. In fact, your phone call must be straight to the point. You know what? That's why you need to be precise. Even from the get-go, when you get into the phone conversation, especially for high-ticket clients, right? You need to go straight to the point. For example, you just drop your name, the company you represent, right? And you go straight to the point. And one of the things you need to do during the conversation, even while you are taking up questions from the client, you need to begin to know when will be the right time for me to start looking at closing. You want to attempt to close as soon as you can. You need a grasp of psychology. You need to be able to know when you have actually satisfactorily answered the questions of the client. You need to start looking for how you can get it close. So guys, these are the point. Now, one more thing that I'd like you to understand is the process of closing. So one of the things that you also want to understand, especially if it's an high-stake item, if it's a B2B transaction, you also want to check what are the steps in closing a client, because the first call might not be about closing. If you can close at the first call, that is very perfect. In fact, that's a salesperson's dream, right? But one of the things you can do is that at the call, right, you want to know the sales process. So for example, you can field a question like, okay, so what will be the next steps? How do we proceed from here? Or let's say, assuming you sign off on this now, does that mean we are in sales? Then the person says something like no. Then you now say, so what else do I need to do? And the person, for example, can tell you it goes to procurement. Does that mean after procurement, we're in sales? The person can say no. He still has to get to the CTO or the CIO. Does that mean we're in sales? No. Our company's policy is such that the CEO must sign off on everything. Okay, that means once we've got into the CEO, we're in sales. After that, the person can actually say something like, yes, that looks like it. So you are able to predict, the journey, the sales journey. One of the things you also will want to check is what will be the timeline. One of the things that happen to salespeople is not be able to exactly predict when the sales will start and end, right? And you can find yourself in a very tough place because you have to meet quotas, right? You have bills to pay as an entrepreneur, so you're desperate. You need to know there's some clients you can't close in 3 months. There's some clients you have to close in 6 months. So you need to be able to do all of that, right? Guys, these are the tips on how to close high-ticket clients. Particularly, these are the tips that you need if you are trying to attempt that over the phone. That's all we have for you on this episode of the Business Class. Remember to follow us on all our social media platforms, and also please subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn notification on so that you can get all the dope content that we have for you going forward. Thanks.